Powers, right, for Baltimore. So I think Cleveland did a good job, and Cleveland has a lot of picks, man. They have a lot of picks, so that's the thing that's going to be interesting to see what Cleveland does with the rest of their picks. But yeah, those are my teams that I thought did well. What is your biggest surprise, Leo, in the draft? What was so far? What was your biggest surprise yesterday when you talk about teams and who they picked?
It definitely got to be the Rams taking Tyler Simpson, because to me, the Rams, you look at their history, they have a history of saying F the picks under the Sean McVay era. You know, there was a stretch from 2017 to 2023, 6 years in a row, where they didn't have a first round pick because they were highly aggressive in win now mode. All right. And you would think after going back to back NFC championship games and losing that they will be in win now mode. And you would think that that would be the priorities to get a player that can help Matthew Stafford and Sean McVay right now. But instead, they did the opposite, looking towards the future with the Simpson move. And to me, drafting him 13 overall is a failure, is incompetence. I don't know what happened, but clearly somebody was doing ganja before the draft, because it's like, all right, you're taking the guy number 13 overall to be a developmental project. It's a waste of time to me. It's an ultimate waste of time. He's not going to play for the next 2 years, possibly 3, however long Matthew Stafford is retiring until then. And I'm hearing that they even negotiating a contract extension with him right now. I don't know how true those reports are, but I saw it before I got on the air. It makes the pick look even more horrible. So firstly, that's just the freaking what's the word I'm looking for? The draft. There's a word I'm looking for. You know, when it comes to draft etiquette and positional value, there we go. You talk about positional value and pick value and whatnot. That's one side of it. But as a football player, good processor, I'll give him that. But he doesn't have close to the physical tools and to be a passer like Matthew Stafford is. Sounds familiar? Remember Jared Goff? Same thing, right? He didn't have the physical tools that Stafford had. He won games. He got you to the Super Bowl. But why did you trade him? Because you wanted a guy more talented than him that can, elevate the offense into another dimension. And guess what? You won a championship. But you traded Jared Goff back in 2021 to get Matthew Stafford. So why are you going for somebody that don't have even close to the physical attributes that Matthew Stafford has? To me, that's an issue. So, and another thing that I want to bring out there before you get in here, Lee, it's not even only that, but it's also the fact that he played one season with Alabama. You look at the quarterbacks in the last 10 drafts that played one season or less, right? Mitch Trubisky, Dwayne Haskins, Mac Jones, AR-15. They all, anything in common with those guys, Lee? Anthony Richardson, Mac Jones, Dwayne Haskins, ORP to him. I don't want to disrespect him, ORP, but the
less than 20 starts. Less than 20 starts. They don't have. Yep.
All the B word, right? Not the BITC word, the bus word. Okay. All right. And Kyler Murray's in that category as far as played 1 year. He's not a bus, but he hasn't won a playoff game either. So he's mid. So again, that's what you look at when you talk about quarterbacks with not a lot of collegiate experience. So to me, it was an ultimate reach by the Rams, and it surprised me the most.
Good points. Good point. Very good points. Look, the Rams, if you saw the interview of Les Snead and Sean McVay when they were talking about the pick, you could see disgust in McVay's face and how he answered the questions. And so to me, it looked like it was more Les Snead wanting to draft the quarterback of the future than Sean McVay wanting to draft him. And they have Garoppolo and they have Stetson Bennett, or Garoppolo may have went left this year, but they have Stetson Bennett. And like he said, he's going to be competing with Stetson Bennett for the backup role. So to me, it seemed like the Rams front office to coach were off on that pick, right? And so, look, when people talk about it, Ty Simpson had this meteoric rise, and they talk about his first 8 games, Leo, but they always want to skirt over the last 5 in which he fumbled 5 times. He was terrible in the pocket. So they talk about his first 8 games, but they don't talk about the last 5 when the competition got better. I'm not a big Ty Simpson guy. So the Rams, that 13th pick, to me, it's a wasted pick because they are a championship ready team, and you could have gotten somebody that could really have helped you to get to win, to compete for a championship. Instead, you get this guy. And then there was also reports that Les Snead is friends with Ty Simpson's dad. So it all kind of makes sense. And there's a report that they're pretty good friends. So it all makes sense when you look at how when you look at Snead and McVay, they look like they was like just got through cussing each other out. And then you look at how McVay answered the question. I just think that was an off pick, and I didn't like that pick at all. The last thing I'll say, people were saying that the Jeremiah Love pick was a surprise or wasn't good. Look, let me say this about, to me, what I would always say about football, Leo. Cardinals not winning the Super Bowl this year, right? I don't care who they get. You can never have too many great football players on your team. And if Jeremiah Love is who everybody say he is from a talent perspective, there's no way that you should pass that up. You're not drafting Jeremiah Love for 1 year. You're drafting him for hopefully 10. So getting him is a good thing for the Cardinals. I don't know why people are talking about value and money. Look, bottom line is the salary cap is over $300 million. It's just going to go up and up and up every year. Give me a break on the salary cap stuff. You get a great football player, draft him, let him do his thing. He's multidimensional, can run, can catch the ball. He's a 3-down back. Give me a break. I love the pick of Jeremiah Love with the Cardinals at 3. But clearly the Ty Simpson thing is the bust of the draft. You're right, Leo.
Yeah, I don't like the pick for the Cardinals at all. And maybe I'm just putting the fandom cap on more than the GM cap. But even if I put on a GM cap, it's like, okay, to me, it's like a homeless man living in a shelter, but got a Lamborghini in front of the shelter that he drives. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, okay, what are we doing here? You got a guy who's talented, but is the team ready to compete right now? No, the media not. So it's like, okay, you look at running backs and you look at the wear and tear over the first couple of years. Their prime is literally right now. Jeremiah Love's prime is right now. Other players, their prime hasn't even began, right? But as far as football life, when it comes to running backs, his prime is already now that he's drafted. His prime is today. So when you get to the next 2 years and 3 years, when you start talking about contracts, that's when he's actually leaving his prime. Is the Cardinals going to compete in that 2 to 3 year window? No, they're not. So to me, it's like a waste of time because it's like, all right, you're not doing anything. Look at the Raiders. Ashton Genty had way more hype than Jeremiah Love. And he was he almost won the Heisman in Boise State. But yet they had no line, they had no quarterback, and it was just all for naught. So again, to me, you have a window and that's where you cannot disrespect positional value. I think this NFL draft in particular has disrespected positional value to the utmost. Yeah, I get it. The game is changing. I'm all for change. It's not 1999 anymore. Look at society, look at the world, look at AI. I get it. But at the same time, there's core football 101, in the book that you should probably hold on to, which is positional value. Again, I get it. The Giants in particular, they didn't need, Reese. They didn't need, because guess what? Reese was, I think he was playing on the line. I didn't think he was playing. They moving him to a linebacker. Same thing with their guard. He was playing right tackle. They moving him to guard. They took the best players available, but they still could be impactful. I get it. Linebackers may not be more impactful than a defensive tackle and whatnot, but still, they took the best players available. I get it. They're in position to do so because they already have an abundance of riches. They already have a team that's on the up and up, so they can afford to do that. But the Cardinals here, Jacoby Brissett with your quarterback, and I get he's not a terrible quarterback, but you're not winning.
But Leo, you can never have too many great football players. Never on a football team. You can look. The guy can play receiver. He can play running back. He can return kicks. He can do whatever you want to do. So it doesn't matter. If he's a great football player, he's going to get that second contract no matter what, right? So he's going to help your team just by being the talent that he is, and you're also building for the future. Look, teams turn things around in the NFL.
Would you say the Giants drafting Saquon Barkley was an investment that they feel good about?
The Giants should have kept it. That was mismanagement. That was mismanagement on Saquon.
Well, obviously they shouldn't have let him go to the Eagles. That's another, that's obviously the big fault.
Mismanagement, not even keeping
the first couple of years, they didn't do nothing with Saquon Barkley.
Saquon
until he went to a better football team.
You're not drafting a player for 1 or 2 years. You're drafting him for 7 or 8. So look, any way you build a team, you build it, right? You can get the quarterback first. You can get the line first. You can get the running back first. But you need all of them, right? You need everyone to be a part of the team to be success. So they don't have the quarterback. Brissett is a bridge, right? They're building the line, right? They're making some changes. They're building a line. But get the great running back, man. There's nothing wrong with that. And he's going to make plays. But Ashton Jeanty, let me say this. He didn't have the greatest of year, but I guarantee you Ashton Jeanty will be a dominant Raider in the next two years. He'll be a dominant running back for the Oakland Raiders as they build that line. So you already have that back. There's something to be said for that. And you have him on a rookie contract so you can evaluate it. So I don't have a problem with the pick of Jeremiah Love. I actually think you get the best football players you can get, man.
And my last point on that, if you're going to do that, then sign Malik Willis or something, right? If you're going to go out there and draft talent, then sign Malik Willis and try it out with him. Jacoby Brissett, we already got a good amount of, I guess you could say, look of Jacoby Brissett. Yeah. He's not that dude. He could warm up a couple games in a row. Yeah, he could throw for 200, 300 yards like he did last year. He could do that, periodically, but not consistently. No, it's not your guy.
I think the Cardinals did make a play for Brissett. Brissett just wanted to go to Miami. I think they had more money out there for him. So I don't know what that is. Maybe his thoughts on Arizona wasn't that they're going in the right direction, but they did make a run at him. Hey, Leo, back to the draft. The Eagles drafted Mekhi Lemon, right? They traded for the Wicks guy from Green Bay. They added Hollywood Brown.
Elijah Moore.
Is it a foregone conclusion? I want to ask you this question. Who do you think will get traded in the offseason? Is it going to be A.J. Brown, George Pickens, or both of them? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's definitely going to be A.J. Brown. I'm not sure about the George Pickens situation. I haven't really dived into it a lot. Like I've looked at it, glanced at it.
Pickens signed his franchise.
I know he signed the tag that I do know. I'm not sure what Jerry has up his sleeve in regards to that is concerned. I do know that George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb is a prolific duo. And to me, if they run it back, they probably have the best wide receiving duo outside of Chase and Higgins. They're gonna be right up there, top 3. So I think they will want to bring that back together. I think Jerry Jones is loading up defensively by all the moves that he made this offseason, especially with the Caleb Downs pick. He's just locking up defensively. He wants to have a complete team that he can throw out there to try to compete for the NFC East. As far as the Eagles is concerned, A.J. Brown, the writing is on the wall. I don't know how many moves that we need to see them make in regards to wide receivers for us not to just come to the conclusion that it's a foregone conclusion. It's a wrap. Okay, A.J. Brown is out of here. We know it. It's time to go. They signed, they traded for Dontayvion Wicks. They drafted Lemon. They ready to rock and roll. It's obvious with the moves that they're making that they're moving on from A.J. Brown. And what they're trying to do is give Hurts the most pieces they can to really see if he's that dude. And right now, there's a lot of noise with Jalen Hurts right now. A lot of negative stories going on with him. We're going to find out with the trade of A.J. Brown if Jalen Hurts is that dude, just like how we had to figure it out for Josh Allen when they traded away Stephon Diggs. He won an MVP. Just like we figured out Patrick Mahomes, you lose Tyreek Hill, you're going on to win a Super Bowl. So Jalen Hurts has that golden opportunity because A.J. Brown is done. Whatever that chemistry was with Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown is not there, right? At least, at one point we thought that Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs was boys. Right, it looked like it, and then obviously that fell through or whatnot. But we never got that vibe here with A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts that they were boys enough to overcome some of the targets not being thrown to when you talk about A.J. Brown. So to me, the Eagles are tired of the noise. They want to block it out. There's a lot of news going all around the whole entire team. Even Nick Sirianni, there was things with him a couple years ago. They just ready to like block out the noise, get rid of the noise. It's affecting our wins in the playoffs. Let's get rid of the cancer in the locker room. That being AJ Brown, and I think it's inevitable.
Yeah. Go back to Pickens. Pickens is not going anywhere for the Cowboys. He's going look $27.3 million. That's a pretty high leap on the salary scale for him. He's in Texas. He gets to keep more money of that $27 million. So I don't think Pickens is going anywhere. I think they're going to let him play on the franchise tag. Dallas has done that before. And then then the big decision comes. You franchise him again. He would make $42 million. So I don't know about all that. But the bottom line is this year, I don't think Pickens is going anywhere. AJ Brown, yeah, it's time to go. It's time to go. Look, get you a good draft pick for him. It's not so much the relationship with him and Hurts. It's the fact that his chemistry is off from the rest of the team, Leo. I mean, he's doing his own thing. He's running. The spotlight is on him and the Eagles, and not just the Eagles. That's a bad thing when it starts to happen that way, bro. When it starts to, when they separate you, you ain't the Beatles no more. You're Mike McCarthy and the Beatles. You're Michael Jackson and the Jackson 5. It's over then, bro. It's over. And so that's what it is with the Eagles right now. It's time to part ways. I like the Lemon pick. That's a little explosive guy. Man, he catch the ball in space and he run after catch. So that's a good pickup. They're going to run it back. And Leo, they're counting that Devontae Smith is the real deal. And remember, he's the Heisman Trophy winner. It ain't A.J. Brown. So I do think they move up off of him and get him out of there and get them a pick. And then, to the Jalen Hurts thing, look, Jalen Hurts Super Bowl MVP. No matter what you say, you try to talk about what he's not. What he is a Super Bowl champion, Super Bowl MVP, been to 2 Super Bowls in the last 5 years. And so I think Jalen Hurts is going to excel. They just have to really decide what offense they're going to run, Leo. And he has to be able to throw the ball down the field and use his legs. That's how you win with Jalen Hurts. If y'all are not going to use his legs, that's a recipe for disaster. So let the man use his legs, run the football, put it in the air. You got a good tight end. The one thing that's the trouble with the Eagles, the offensive line is not as good as it's been in the past. If they don't get that fixed, you're not going to have it for the Eagles as far as Super Bowl run. Leo, last thing on the NFL. We didn't get a chance to talk about the Mike Vrabel and Diana Rossini issue, and I know you have some thoughts on that. One, what are your thoughts for the handling of it? The NFL didn't jump in on it. They said, "Nah, we ain't gonna mess with that. It's not in our personal conduct policy per se. That's a team thing." And the team said they're going to stand by Vrabel as he goes through this. And they didn't say anything about how it looked. Him talking to a reporter, probably leaking information. Both of them married, so just the simple morality of it. But they didn't say anything. No suspensions has been levied or anything like that, Leo. It's just, okay, go deal with that. Now, you look at Sharon Moore. Sharon Moore was fired as soon as they got the hiccup of it, right? Of the infidelity. And then some. Sharon Moore did commit a couple of felonies there, or supposed felonies. But what are your thoughts about how the NFL and the Patriots are handling the Mike Vrabel, Diana Rossini issue?
I mean, look, I was a Patriots fan for a long time. I know that the Patriots are not, allergic to controversy. Obviously, with Spygate, Deflategate, Aaron Hernandez. I mean, the list goes on. So they're accustomed to this. I don't think they are a team that's going to be a heavy disciplinary team, because even Robert Kraft got into I think what was it with the prostitutes or whatever. So again, they're accustomed to noise and whatnot. This is another prime example of noise. So I think for me, when you talk about the NFL and how they should handle it, I know a lot of people mention Shawan Moore, Ime Udoka. Number one, I don't know what the rules are in regards to messing with a reporter. I do know that in the Ime Udoka's case, It was he was messing with somebody that was a subordinate. So again, that was in the contract. You can't do that. That's why he got let go. I know that Shawan Moore was messing with somebody on the staff. All right.
Yeah.
So
Good
obviously
point.
Rossini is a reporter, but from a morale standpoint, it's a bad look and it's a situation that could impact the team. We talked about AJ Brown. AJ Brown more than likely may be going over there. Listen, they need that news to drop to kind of like, ignore or take the attention away from this situation that took over the draft completely. And sure, I could talk about the morale standpoint of things. I'm not defending Mike Vrabel whatsoever. What he did is a weak move. He's supposed to be a leader of men, and he's out here, cheating on his wife. But again, that's what he's doing. I'm not going to comment on another man cheating on his wife unless it's a different type of question. Unless Lee asks me what I think about that, then I'll probably go into that. But even then, that's tiptoeing around the gossipy stuff. I'm not Wendy Williams. I'm the real Lil, right? But it just goes to show you that women like Diana Rossini, they use their bodies to advance their careers. The same thing that Joy Taylor from FS1 did, right? When she was sleeping around the whole staff. That's what happened. And it goes to show you that it's dangerous out here, man. So protect your pockets. Make sure you watch who you dating, because you never know who's sleeping around and naming their children, your children, after another man they messing around with. So I'll leave it like that, man.
Yeah, that was wild, man. That's buck wild. Look, it's not a good look. It's not a good look for the NFL. It's not a good look for the Patriots. It's certainly not a good look for Rossini, who had a couple of issues, another issue previous on a personal side. But look, man, he was caught red-handed twice, right? And there are more pictures. I think they said that the husband may have possibly hired a private investigator. So there are more pictures out there now. Man, just apologize publicly. Don't tiptoe around it. Say, I don't like it. I don't like it when you get up there and you tiptoe around it. You were caught. Everybody know you're caught. Let that come out of your mouth. Apologize to your wife publicly, because it's a public situation now. And then you move on. Then your players respect you more, Leo, for what you do. Hey, you can't, we all none of us are saints, right? But yours is so public, and it places a black eye on your employer. It places a black eye on your team, and you can't tell me, Leo, that that's not conduct detrimental to the New England Patriots. That's the definition of detrimental. So I'm sure he broke a morality clause in his contract somehow. So come out and admit it. Say what you've done, apologize, and we're all a forgiving society. We've seen they'll work again somewhere, somehow, and that's that. But it certainly was a bad look for the NFL. And it just goes to show you, Leo, the lengths of what some of these reporters will do to get a story, and how they break these stories, and how coaches and front offices and reporters all work together, right? And they advance whatever narrative they want to put out there. And that's just another example of that, working in its full capacity. But Vrabel, come on, man, handle your business. Be more stand-up than what you are. Kind of running scared now.
Yeah, man. Handle your business as a man, bro. Know what I mean? Like, again, you out here playing lovely dovely, you know what I'm saying? Like, you out here playing like smooth operator. You got to operate the football team, buddy. I mean, I just lost a Super Bowl. There's a Super Bowl curse when it comes to the losing team. It's hard to get back there. It's going to be very hard to get back there, right? And you got AJ Brown potentially going over there. Maybe that can quiet some of the noise. But, man, this is a rough start. This could really bleed into the season and can impact the football team. Who knows how it impacts him? He has a wife at home. Who knows how that relationship is going to be? But at the end of the day, it's still the NFL. It's still a job. We got stuff that we go through in our personal lives, and guess what? At a regular, normal job, you go back to work. You put it behind you. You can't bring it to work. So Mike Vrabel got to be the same way.
Yeah, just be stand up, man. Just be stand up. Apologize. Apologize. It's public now, so you got to make a public apology, and your business is out there, and so you have to make that right. And so I need him to speak a little bit more on that, Leo.
And one more thing too, and this is my last point on this. You know, when you talk about the chatty patties, and I noticed this about a lot of the women reporters. Now, there's some great women reporters out there that keep it sports related. I can't really name names because then I'll be singling out people. But there are some good, amazing female reporters that all they do is do their job, which is talk about games. They don't really gossip a lot. But you do have a crowd of women reporters that they do these side podcasts, or they may do a regular syndicated ESPN show where they just tell stuff that they don't need to talk about. There's no reason why we should be finding all those clips of Diana Rossini on syndicated shows talking about a husband. It has no use for the game of football or the game of basketball or the game at all. So the fact that you're out there running your mouth like a chatty patty, one thing about the internet is the receipts always come out. Okay,
Yeah.
No matter if you think you deleted it, it's always going to come out. So be careful when you go on these shows and podcasts and become a chatty patty, because people will pull out the receipts and they will pull it out in front of you. Keep it sports related. It's better for you. That's what I'm saying.
No, good points. Very, very good points. Very good point. Lil, I'm gonna switch it real quick, man. I gotta get some NBA in here, man, and because I'm seeing stuff that I just can't believe that's going on in the NBA right now. NBA playoffs. The main one I want, because you're my resident Knicks fan. What in the world is wrong with the New York Knicks, Lil? And I'll give you the floor.
Pretty much everything is wrong with the New York Knicks, right? Everything. It's like, where do I start? Because, what we try to do as sports media is we try to throw it up as a debate format. Who's most to blame? I'm pretty sure, and look, I haven't even watched sports shows today. I don't really watch a lot of mainstream sports shows like I used to in the past because I'm a busy man and I got my own content. I like my own creativity. But I'm pretty sure, Lee, I don't know if you did, or I'm pretty sure anybody that's watching right now, the topics you're probably going to hear is who's most to blame for the Knicks being down 2-1, same old, same old, same old. We cannot do that here with this topic. There's no who's most to blame. There's a blame to go around. We have multiple issues, okay? Firstly, CJ McCollum and Jonathan Kuminga, cooking us was not on my bingo card at all. All right. With all due respect to CJ McCollum, I know he's a bucket getter, but he's 30-something years old. Kuminga just got dumped by the Warriors. Not on my bingo card. And I understand Steve Kerr, obviously had his battles with Kuminga. I thought that he was stunting his growth to some extent, but this was not on my bingo card. CJ McCollum has been abusing Brunson any chance he gets, taking advantage of his size, obviously 6'2", so an easy matchup hunt. They've been hunting him. Brunson in the controllables, right? Because there's some things that he cannot control as a basketball player, and he's getting abused for it. But there's certain things he can control, which is making good decisions with the ball in his hands as a creator. He's not doing that. As we saw in that final sequence yesterday, he's not, making sound decisions with the ball in his hands as a creator. He's not getting Karl-Anthony Towns more involved as well. He's not trying to find the open man like he once was doing. Now we're doing this heliocentric offense like it's 2019. We got to stop that. Mike Brown, he was brought in to get the most out of his group. That's why Tom Thibodeau got fired. We wanted somebody that can maximize Karl-Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson while also going deeper into the rotations. Now, deeper into the rotations, Mike Brown has done, but to me, it's to a fault, because to me, it's like he's going too deep, but he doesn't know who to play, and it's like, you had all 82 games, and to me, he's still experimenting, which is a problem. Now, you look at Jalen Brunson and Towns. There's no really strong cohesiveness, right? Towns has not been involved as much as he should. In the first, I think it was the first 3 quarters of game 2, he only took 10 shots. This is the best shooting big man of all time. He has to get more looks. He has to get more involved in the offense. So to me, what the Knicks are doing right now is they're not running organized sets anymore. They are freelancing. And right now that's a problem because Jalen Brunson is dribbling a lot. But it's bigger issues. We have a roster balance problem. We have a guard-heavy bench. We have 2 below-average defenders. Even though Cat has been trying to do his best defensively, and for the most part, I thought the second half of the season into now, he's done what he could defensively better than what he was before. But Lee, we can't just condense it to one or two guys. It's Jalen Brunson, it's Mike Brown, it's Mikal Brooks, who can't buy a shot off the internet. That's a horrible trade. I wish I can go back in time. You know, we all have those moments, Lee, where we wish we just never did something. Whatever it is that we did that has made us felt it to this very day, we wish we can go back in time. Mikal Bridges is one of those days and one of those trades.
I knew. Look, I had to give you the floor and let you get it all out, because there's a lot of things that are going on with the Knicks. The one thing that people have to understand about defensive coaches, and Tom Thibodeau was a defensive coach. Yeah, he might run you in the ground, Leo, but he has you locked in more, right? Your mentality is different. When you play for a totally defensive-minded coach, you're locked in together, you play well together, you execute better. That's the nature of repetition and what defensive-minded coaches and hard coaches do. Now, I like Mike Brown, been around the league a long time, but there was just some technical flaws that I didn't like down the stretch. One thing, Brunson, why are you dribbling around in the corner of the court twice, Leo? He's better when he's in the middle of the court or at the elbow working. Why are you dribbling all around and getting double teamed?
All around the world,
that was ridiculous. So for me, there was no type of real executable play down the stretch that they ran. You see what I'm saying? Because there was no semblance of a play, right? And then on the game winner, why was Miles McBride on C.J. McCollum? He just shot right over the top of him. It was like, I mean, you put this little.
Bridges should have been in the game for that specific purpose.
Shot right over top of him. And so tactically, I blame Mike Brown for that. This is what I'll say about Jalen Brunson. I love him. I love his heart. I love everything about him. Everything about him. But everybody in that gym knew you were going to shoot the ball. Right. And Leo, he in his mind, he was going to get up a shot regardless, but he got himself in a bad situation. They had plenty of time. Let it flow, man. Pass the ball, get it back, get to your spot and do it. No, you got to put some blame on him. You got to execute better. You had 2 critical turnovers. And then the last thing I'll say, Mike Brown and Cat just ain't getting along, if you ask me. I don't, Cat makes a lot of money. He fades too much out of the games that I've seen him play. And, you got to decide, is Cat your man or is Brunson your man, and what that dynamic looked like. So I still think the Knicks are going to win the series, Leo. I really do. But they have to they have to execute better, and tactically they're going to have to get better at execution.
Yeah, I mean, and this is my last point here, because I don't really want to get myself worked up anymore. Last night I went to bed with a frown on my face. All right. And it is where it is. I shouldn't have to go to sleep on my birthday with a frown on my face, but it is where it is. Thank God for the Knicks, right? I guess. But for me, if you're getting abused by CJ McCollum and Kuminga, you're going to have issues, because that's probably like the easiest matchups you're going to get from here on out. Right? Don't talk to me about stopping Tatum and Brown. Don't talk to me about stopping, SGA or Donovan Mitchell. Don't talk to me about it. If you're getting abused by CJ McCollum and Kuminga, don't talk to me about the rest. Right now, we are not a finals championship team, and we knew that coming in. But we thought that we can at least get to the finals. Right now, we are in danger. I'm expecting us to bounce back in Game 4. It's a must-win game. Our backs are against the wall. We need to stop playing with our food and go win this Game 4 and bring it back to MSG.
Yeah, the Knicks should win that series. They got to buckle in, though. They're not playing with a sense of urgency. Let's see how urgent they are in Game 4, because look, you don't want Game 4 to be close. The Knicks need to come out, spank them, move on to reestablish order. And if it's a close game, the Knicks might tighten up again and lose that game. Real quick, I got 2 more things before we get out of here. I know everybody's looking forward to the second and third round NFL draft. Real quick on the Houston Rockets, Leo. Houston, you messed this up at the beginning of the season. And at the very most, at the trade deadline, by not going to get a point guard. This is ridiculous. I hate to watch them because their execution down the stretch is terrible. I mean, look, all they do, teams need to blitz KD. They don't have a ball handler. They're trying to have KD be the facilitator. No, KD is the finisher. And so it looks just terrible. Shepard is not a point guard. He's trying to score. And it's just sad that team is wasting a very talented team, a good core, because management, you could have gotten Chris Paul. I thought they should have made a greater push in the offseason for Kyrie Irving, but hey, they didn't. And they're reaping the benefits, or lack thereof benefits, in the playoffs, because they're going to get bounced in the first round by a Lakers team that OKC will probably sweep. What are your thoughts about the Rockets, Leo?
Well, number one, you got to give Lakers a lot of credit. And I understand the Rockets have been a disappointing team, and that has been evident. The Lakers clearly has had a lot of success with the Rockets, if you even include the regular season. So, yeah, they're arguably the most disappointing team. And it's wild to say that, because we normally don't say that about playoff teams in the playoffs currently. Normally, when you make the playoffs and it's still early on, it's like, okay, yeah, you made the playoffs. But the fact that we're already calling them the most disappointing team, despite making it, tells you all we need to know about the eye test when it comes to them. But you do have to give, in the same breath, credit to the Lakers for their defense on Kevin Durant. You know, in game 2, they didn't give him much space to breathe. They kept pressuring him even when he was dribbling the ball up the floor. And I don't think Ime Udoka has done a good job of putting him in better position to not cough up the ball the way how he coughed up the ball in game 2. And this is where having a true point guard and the loss of Fred VanVleet is even more prevalent. But I still, and that's to your point, I still don't understand why they didn't make a move at the deadline. They could have picked up somebody. They didn't need nobody big, right? Kyrie Irving is injured. Okay, cool. You didn't have to go for Kyrie Irving. You could have picked up somebody as simple as Jose Alvarado that could at least get the ball out to the playmakers and make life easier for Kevin Durant, so you don't have to do all the work. Now, and Kevin Durant at that age, he's not that same type of player. If you put pressure on Kevin Durant, ever since that Achilles injury, I've noticed that. I mean, look at the series. Even when he was in Brooklyn against Boston, when Tatum and Brown was picking him up full court, they stunted him. So again, he's not the same player off of that Achilles injury, especially when you're bringing that pressure on him. So again, he doesn't have that same burst to me. Now, he still can shoot. He still can get his shot off. He's still a guy that can score clearly at will, right? But he's still not that dude that can get off of the dribble like that. So to me,
he shouldn't be your primary ball handler, though.
He shouldn't be. Not at this age. Not at this age. And that's why I don't know what's in his head and why he nixed the Golden State Warriors trade, because that would have been the best position for him to go back to, where he doesn't have to do all that. But hey, to each his own. Now, also, you do got to give credit to the Lakers individual players like Marcus Smart, Luke Kennard, because I think Marcus Smart, believe it or not, they're a big reason why. He's a big reason why they up 2-0. Through 2 games, Marcus Smart has averaged 40 points, 15 assists, and 6 steals. He's impacting the game in a lot of areas. And it's funny because he was on his way out the league. He was on 2 consecutive teams where it didn't work out. It was injury riddled. You know, they were non-contended teams, and he made use of that second opportunity. And he's one of the main reasons, along with LeBron James, obviously LeBron James turning back the clock, and Luke Kennard, on why the Lakers are up 2-0 despite not having Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves.
Yeah, it was so important, and I said this as the season was winding down for the Lakers. It was so important that they got the 3rd seed and not the 4th seed, because the 4th seed put them in direct line with OKC, and we know how that's going to end. They would have a better shot at playing San Antonio with Wemby there. That would be they wouldn't be predicted to win, but they have a better shot of winning. But the Lakers are doing a good job. And look, the greatness of LeBron James, it can't be overstated how he's playing, how he's facilitating. That's the LeBron James of old, with less explosion, even though he has the explosive ability. The Lakers are doing a good job, but Houston, they ought to be ashamed of themselves. They ought to be just ashamed of themselves. Lakers are doing a great job. The players are playing their role. Look, they're gonna get OKC, so that's gonna run out. But Houston, they Van Fleet got hurt in the summer of last year. They knew about this. For them not to get someone, that's a travesty. Real quick, Denver and Minnesota. Hey, Minnesota's looking great, and if they keep that up, they can make some noise in the West. What are your thoughts about Denver and Minnesota, Lil, before we get out of here?
I mean, look, to be quite frank with you, right? And look, the NBA need to do something about these Western Conference scheduling because, brother got work in the morning. Now, I mean, after halftime, I'm out, especially when you're getting blown out by 30. Okay, you think I'm going to stay up and watch that? Hell no. But I would say from the quarters that I've seen, especially in the little that I watched in Game 3, again, it was a blowout. NFL draft is on. I got better things to do with my time. The Timberwolves forced Jokic into being a volume scorer rather than the orchestration Jokic that he is in Game 3. And Rudy Gobert and Minnesota's front line, they crowded that space. Jokic attempted 10 3-pointers, I believe, making just 2. He's not that type of guy. That's not his game. He's not Steph. He's not Karl-Anthony Towns. That's not really what he wants to do. He wants to facilitate. He wants to attack the basket. That's his overall impact, right? It's getting others involved. He's one of the best passing big men that I've ever seen. So the fact that they would force him to be in a scorer is why they won that game and won it in the fashion that they did. Because, again, I've seen games when Jokic has 40 points plus, and they lose that game almost every time. There was a stretch where they was like 1-4, 1-5 when Jokic scores 40 points. So again, you want to make Jokic a scorer rather than an orchestrator. And the Timberwolves did that in Game 3, and that's why they won that Game 3 in the fashion that they did. And overall, that's part of the reason why they up in this series. So for me, the Timberwolves got the Nuggets number. It was evident when they played in the playoffs a couple years ago and went to Game 7. And right now, I'm expecting a bounce back from the Nuggets because I don't think that they're going to go out like that. Jamal Murray got to play better. Obviously, he's one of the best playoff performers. I'm expecting a big Game 4 from him. So I still think this series is going to go long, possibly 7 games, I'm predicting. And I'm expecting the Nuggets to bounce back in Game 4.
Game 4 is important for the Timberwolves because you want to show that you're in control of this series. You're dominating the series. You don't want to go back to Denver 2-2. And you talking about Minnesota, you put your foot down, you clamp down defensively, and you win Game 4, and you take that 3-1 lead, then you're in control. And that's what Minnesota has to do. Look, Gobert, his wingspan and his foot movement always bothers Joker. He's probably one of the better defenders against Joker because he's so long and Joker has to shoot over him so much, and he has enough girth, unlike, if Wemby was guarding Joker, that he can't be totally bumped around and moved off his spot. And so Gobert has done a tremendous job on Jokic this whole series. And I'm just looking for Minnesota. If they're the team that I think they can be in this Western Conference, they need to win Game 4 and put a stranglehold on Denver. Leo, I'll give you your last thoughts before we get out of here.
Yeah, man. Just look, I'll keep it like this. I hope my Knicks bounce back tomorrow because at the end of the day, it all revolves around that. My mood, everything, my day, my work life, revolves around the Knicks bouncing back. So if they don't, then that's going to be a problem. The Nuggets in particular, look, I think this was a team going into the playoffs that had pretty much like the hype of like, this might be the biggest threat to OKC. And when you think about it, last year they took them to 7 games, and they was not even of the version of themselves that they are now. Aaron Gordon was hopping on one leg, and yet they went 7 games. So they have the team, like they have a decent team. Christian Braun, they got that dude from Brooklyn, Johnson, that can knock down threes. Jamal Murray, we know what he can do. Obviously, Jokic, the best player. They have a team that really should win this series. To me, they better than Minnesota, but Minnesota has a number, and that's why Minnesota is not afraid to play him, and they know how to play him with Rudy Gobert. So that's going to be listen, I think those 2 games that we talked about is going 7. Houston need to bounce back as well. If you get swept by the Lakers without Luka Doncic, and that's another thing. The Lakers are up 2, oh, they don't need to play Luka Doncic right now. They can rest him even further. So that's a good positive. So there's a lot of teams that need to bounce back, and my Knicks being at the top for me.
Yeah. It's gonna be interesting. My last take is, look, great second and third round of the NFL draft about to start in about 5 minutes. Check it out. Look, NBA playoffs, Houston, I need you to win a game. I just need you to bow up and win a game and support KD. Boston and their series. Look, Boston, quit playing around with Toronto, right? Quit playing around.
With Philly.
No, with Philly. I mean, with Philly. Quit playing around with Philly. You're not playing to your best. You're shooting too many threes. If you let teams stick around with explosive people like Maxey and the other young player, you get yourself in trouble. Put these teams away and move on to the next round. And then Detroit, I don't know what Detroit team is going to show up, but I tell you what, they better start to take command, because if Detroit doesn't have any leeway because they're so volatile, that they need to put a team away early like they did the last game. So it's going to be some good basketball, some good NFL. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. For my man, Real Lil, I'm Lee Jones. We'll see you next week.
Peace.